The grand chamber of the Galactic Council glittered with golden light. Thousands of alien representatives sat in rising tiers that reached toward the distant ceiling. At the center of it all stood Thomas Reed, Earth's ambassador, his back straight and his face calm despite the whispers and sneers around him. The council leader, Marcus Prime, looked down from his floating platform. His silver skin gleamed as he raised all four of his arms for silence. The chamber grew quiet, but the contempt in the air remained thick enough to cut with a knife. "We have reviewed Earth's application for membership in the Galactic Council." Marcus Prime's voice boomed through the chamber. "Our decision is final. Not only do we reject it, but we find the very idea laughable." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Some representatives didn't even try to hide their amusement, pointing at Reed as they whispered to each other. Reed's face remained unchanged, but his hands tightened slightly behind his back. Marcus Prime wasn't finished. Earth is nothing but a primitive backwater. They still use fossil fuels on half their planet. Their fastest ships can barely reach their own moon. They fight among themselves over strips of land and invisible borders. He paused for effect. "And they want to join us." More laughter filled the chamber. A representative from the Blue Star system stood up, his tentacles waving in amusement. "Perhaps we should wait until they learn to count past 10 without using their fingers." Reed watched as the chamber erupted in more laughter. He had expected this, but the reality was still bitter to swallow. Earth had spent 10 years preparing this application, showing their best technological advances, their most impressive achievements. All of it thrown back in their faces. Marcus Prime raised his arms again. "Furthermore, to protect our advanced technologies from potentially dangerous primitives, we are implementing immediate trade restrictions on Earth. No advanced technology will be sold or traded to Earth or its colonies. This is for their own protection, of course." Reed finally spoke, his voice clear and steady. "The people of Earth understand the Council's concerns. We accept your decision with grace." The words tasted like ash in his mouth, but he kept his tone respectful. "We only ask for the opportunity to prove ourselves worthy in the future." Future? Marcus Prime's laugh was like breaking glass. "Come back when you've evolved past your primitive state, perhaps in another 1,000 years." Reed bowed slightly and turned to leave. As he walked toward the exit, he heard more jokes, more laughter. One voice called out, "Don't trip over your own feet, primitive." The grand doors closed behind him with a boom. Only then did Reed allow himself a small smile. He touched the communicator hidden in his collar, speaking quietly as he walked. "It's done." They reacted exactly as expected. "Initiate Protocol Omega." Back on Earth, in a deep underground facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, a message flashed across hundreds of screens. "Protocol Omega activated." In hidden shipyards throughout the solar system, lights began to come on. In secret laboratories, quantum computers hummed to life. In stealth facilities on Mars and Europa, sleeping warriors opened their eyes. Earth's leaders gathered in their most secure facility, watching the recording of the council meeting. The president of the United Earth Alliance looked at the others around the table. "They think we're primitive. They think we're weak." She stood up, her eyes hard. "Let them think that. While they laugh, we prepare. While they mock, we grow stronger. And when we're ready." She didn't need to finish the sentence. That night, as the council celebrated what they saw as putting the primitives in their place, they had no idea what they had just started. They didn't know about Earth's quantum computing breakthroughs. They hadn't discovered the stealth ships hidden in plain sight. They couldn't imagine the web of agents already in place throughout their systems. They would learn, eventually, but by then it would be far too late. In his private quarters, Reed looked at the stars through his window. "You think we're primitive," he whispered. "You think we're weak, but you forgot something important." He smiled again, but this time there was no warmth in it. Humans are very, very good at proving people wrong. The wheels were in motion. The council's laughter would turn to screams soon enough. But for now, Earth would wait, plan, and prepare. After all, revenge is a dish best served cold. 3 months after Earth's rejection from the Galactic Council, the galaxy had already started to forget about the primitive planet. Ships avoided Earth's solar system, following the Council's trade restrictions. The few alien observers who bothered to watch reported nothing but silence. In the Council chambers, Marcus Prime smiled as he read the latest report. "See how they hide in their little system," he told his advisors, "like children sent to their room for bad behavior. If only they had looked closer." Deep beneath the ice of Europa, Jupiter's moon, enormous shipyards stretched for miles. Thousands of workers moved in perfect coordination as they built vessels unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The ships were dark as space itself, their hulls made of materials that absorbed light rather than reflected it. Admiral James Walker stood at a viewing platform, watching the construction. "How many ships ready?" he asked his assistant. 50 completed, sir. Another 100 will be ready within 2 months. Walker nodded, his face showing no emotion. "And the quantum systems?" "All ships are equipped with the new key cores." "The test results?" His assistant paused, still amazed by the numbers. "They process faster than the entire Council's computing network combined." Meanwhile, on Mars, Director Anna Stone walked through an underground facility larger than most cities. Here, Earth's best minds worked on projects that would make the Council's scientists faint with shock. "Show me the AI progress," she ordered, stepping into a dimly lit room filled with holographic displays. A young scientist brought up a simulation. "We've cracked their basic encryption in under 3 seconds. Their advanced military codes take about 15 seconds now." Stone allowed herself a small smile. "And they can't detect our presence." "They might as well try to detect a ghost, Director." In the outer reaches of the solar system, hidden bases on Pluto's moons trained special forces in complete secrecy. Men and women learned to pilot the new ships, to use weapons that bent space itself, to fight in ways the Council had never imagined. On Earth itself, cities appeared quiet and subdued to outside observers. But underground, in secret bunkers, and in hidden facilities, humanity worked with single-minded purpose. The humiliation of their rejection had united Earth's nations like never before. Ambassador Reed still attended council meetings, playing his part perfectly. He sat quietly, head slightly bowed, speaking only when spoken to. Other representatives had started treating him like furniture, ignoring his presence entirely. After one such meeting, Reed walked through the council station's corridors, carefully observing everything while appearing to study the floor. His augmented eyes recorded every detail, feeding data to the quantum computers back home. A group of council officials passed him, laughing among themselves. One bumped into Reed deliberately, nearly knocking him down. "Oh, sorry," the official said, "not sorry at all. Didn't see you there. Primitive." Reed apologized quietly and hurried away, while his hidden systems copied every file from the official's personal device. The official would never know his security clearance had just been compromised. Back in his quarters, Reed connected with Earth's command center. "Another successful data gather," he reported. "Their arrogance makes this almost too easy." The president's voice came through clearly. "Excellent work, Ambassador. Timeline update. Everything is proceeding as planned. They suspect nothing. Their own monitoring systems show exactly what we want them to see. And the fleet will be ready on schedule. The Council's trade restrictions actually helped us. No one comes close enough to detect our activities." The president was quiet for a moment. "They think we're licking our wounds, hiding in shame." "Yes, Madam President. That's exactly what they think." "Good." The word carried the weight of Earth's coming vengeance. Let them think that. Pride comes before a fall, after all. As the call ended, Reed looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, Earth's ships were already moving into position, invisible to all sensors. The Council's days of laughter were numbered. In the silence of space, humanity prepared, and waited, and grew stronger. The Council had no idea what was coming. They would learn soon enough. The first sign that something was wrong came from a small trading post in the Outer Rim. A shipment of illegal weapons, carefully hidden in medical supplies, suddenly appeared on public channels. The weapons belonged to Marcus Prime's personal guard. In the council chambers, Marcus Prime raged at his security chief. How did this happen? Our encryption is perfect. The security chief, sweating heavily, had no answer. None of their systems showed any signs of breach. It was as if the information had appeared by magic. But this was just the beginning. In her command center on Mars, Director Stone watched streams of data flow across her screens. Earth's quantum AI systems had cracked the Council's encryption 3 months ago. Now it was time to use that access. Start with the small leaks, she ordered. Let's make them nervous. Across Council space, things began to go wrong. Banking records appeared in public channels. Secret trade routes became common knowledge. Criminal operations were exposed one after another. The council members turned on each other, each suspecting the others of sabotage. No one thought to look at the quiet, primitive Earth. In a secret facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, General White stood before a massive holographic display of council space. Hundreds of red dots marked their targets. Status report, he demanded. Their defense networks are compromised, sir, a young operator reported. We can shut down any system, anytime. They still haven't detected our presence. White nodded. And our ships. All in position, sir, completely undetected. Meanwhile, Ambassador Reeve attended another council meeting. The chamber was no longer filled with laughter. Representatives argued with each other, pointing fingers, making accusations. Marcus Prime looked tired. 3 more of his secret operations had been exposed that morning. Half his allies were now under investigation. Order, he shouted, but the chaos continued. Reed sat quietly, watching. His augmented eyes recorded everything, feeding data back to Earth's command center. The council was falling apart, and they had no idea why. A small trading company collapsed that afternoon, then another. By evening, a minor council member's entire financial network had mysteriously failed. In her office on Earth, the president reviewed the day's progress. Are we moving too fast? She asked her advisors. Director Stone's hologram shook her head. We're moving at exactly the right speed. They're blaming each other. Internal investigations are tying up their resources. Their military is scattered across 20 different systems, chasing shadows. And our next target, the Stellar Empire's black market operations, Stone replied. We have proof they've been selling weapons to both sides in 3 different conflicts. When that gets out, the president smiled. Release it. Within hours, the evidence was everywhere. The Stellar Empire, led by Marcus Prime, had been profiting from war and suffering across the galaxy. The council erupted into chaos. In his private chambers, Marcus Prime stared at his secure communications device in horror. Somehow, someone had accessed everything. All his careful plans, all his secret deals, exposed to the galaxy. Find who did this. He screamed at his intelligence chiefs. Find them now. But they couldn't find what they weren't looking for. Earth's quantum systems were too advanced, too alien to their traditional defenses. They were looking for brute force attacks, for familiar invasion patterns. They didn't know to look for the ghostly quantum tendrils that had already compromised every system they had. Reed watched it all, sending regular reports back to Earth. The Council's mighty edifice was cracking. Soon, those cracks would become chasms. In the darkness of space, Earth's stealth fleet waited. In hidden bases throughout Council space, human agents prepared for the next phase. The first move had been made. The Council was wounded, confused, and afraid. And Earth was just getting started. The Council's military command center buzzed with frantic activity. Another defense system had just gone offline, then come back online 5 minutes later. No explanation. No signs of tampering. Nothing. Run another diagnostic. The chief of defense shouted. Check every system. But the diagnostics showed nothing wrong. They couldn't detect the quantum programs that had already taken control of everything. In her stealth ship near the Council's main fleet, Captain Lisa Black watched through advanced sensors. Her vessel, like 50 others, sat completely invisible less than a mile from Council warships. "Status report," she whispered into her comm. "All Council ships marked and tagged, Captain. We can disable their weapons anytime we want." The Council fleet's massive warships drifted past her position, their crews completely unaware they were being watched. Their own sensors showed empty space. Meanwhile, in the Council chambers, Marcus Prime was having the worst month of his long life. Half his empire had crumbled. His allies were deserting him. And now, his military commanders reported strange problems with their defense systems. "We don't understand it," his chief engineer admitted. "Systems go offline, then online. Weapons power down by themselves. But when we check, everything looks normal." Marcus Prime slammed his fist on his desk. "Find the cause. Now." In the same chamber, Ambassador Reed stood up to speak. The Council members, distracted by their problems, barely noticed him. "Honorable Council," he said quietly, "Earth wishes to express concern about recent events. Perhaps we could offer assistance." The chamber erupted in laughter, but it wasn't the confident laughter of months ago. It had a nervous edge. "Assistance," Marcus Prime sneered, "from primitives. Sit down and be quiet." Reed bowed slightly. "As you wish, but remember, we offered to help." Back on Earth, in the deep underground command center, General White watched the Council's military movements on his displays. Red dots showed Council ships, all of them now under Earth's secret control. "Time to squeeze a little harder," he ordered. Across Council space, the chaos increased. Military ships received wrong orders. Defense stations shut down during critical moments. Communication systems failed. The Council's mighty military machine was falling apart, and no one knew why. In her Mars facility, Director Stone received a message from one of her deep cover agents. "Council military morale is breaking." The message read, "They think their equipment is cursed. 3 ship captains resigned today." Stone allowed herself a small smile. "Send the Phase 4 signal," she ordered. Throughout Council space, hidden human agents received the signal. Years of preparation were about to pay off. On 17 critical Council worlds, power systems suddenly failed. On 30 trade stations, life support systems glitched for exactly 10 seconds, just long enough to cause panic. The Council's emergency session dissolved into shouting and accusations. "It's the Blue Star systems," one representative screamed. "They're attacking us." "No, it's the Outer Rim Coalition. We're under attack from within." Marcus Prime watched his empire crumble, helpless to stop it. Nothing made sense anymore. How could this be happening? In his quarters, Reed sent his daily report to Earth. "They're breaking, Madam President. The mighty Council is discovering that their technology isn't as perfect as they thought." "Excellent," the President replied. "Is it time for the final warning?" "Yes," Reed said. "They won't listen, of course. Their pride won't let them. But we have to give them one last chance. Proceed as planned, Ambassador." The next day, Reed would deliver Earth's final warning to the Council. They would laugh again, one last time. And then Earth would show them exactly how primitive humanity really was. In the darkness of space, Earth's stealth fleet waited for the signal. The trap was set. All the pieces were in place. The Council's time was running out. The Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Reed walked to the center of the room. For the first time in months, he stood tall, no longer pretending to be humble. "Honorable Council," he said, his voice strong and clear. "Earth has watched your corruption. We have seen your crimes. This is your final chance to surrender power peacefully." The chamber erupted in laughter, just as Earth had predicted. Marcus Prime rose from his seat, all 4 arms spread wide. "You dare threaten us?" he shouted. "Guards, remove this primitive." Reed smiled. Very well. We tried to be merciful. He touched his communicator. Execute final strike. Across the galaxy, Earth's plan unfolded like a blooming flower of destruction. In the Council's military headquarters, every screen suddenly went dark. When they came back on, they showed videos of Council leaders accepting bribes, ordering assassinations, and plotting wars for profit. The same videos played on every communication channel in Council space. Every citizen, every soldier, every alien race saw the truth about their leaders. Captain Lisa Black watched from her stealth ship as the Council's mighty warships tried to power up their weapons. Nothing happened. Earth's quantum programs had complete control. All ships, to cloak, she ordered. Suddenly, the Council fleet found itself surrounded. Earth's black ships appeared from nowhere, their advanced weapons already locked on target. In the Council chamber, Marcus Prime screamed orders into his communicator. Launch the fleet. Destroy Earth now. Reed shook his head. Your fleet isn't yours anymore. Look outside. The chamber's massive windows showed space around the Council station. Hundreds of Earth's stealth ships decloaked, their dark hulls seeming to eat the light. Impossible. A Council member shouted. Earth has no such technology. The primitives, Reed said calmly, have been lying to you. On Earth, the President watched through Reed's augmented eyes. Begin Phase 2, she ordered. Director Stone, watching from Mars, pressed a single button. Throughout Council space, Earth's sleeper agents acted. Council security forces found their weapons wouldn't work. Defense shields powered down. Emergency systems failed. The Council's mighty space station, symbol of their power, went dark. When emergency power came on, Earth's ships had moved even closer. You can't do this, Marcus Prime screamed. We are the Council. We have ruled for 10,000 years. Your rule just ended, Reed replied. From hidden bases across Council space, Earth's special forces emerged. They didn't need to fire a shot. Every defense system, every weapon, every piece of technology was under Earth's control. On 17 Council worlds, corrupt governors found themselves under arrest by their own security forces. Earth had shared the truth with those forces days ago. Admiral Walker's voice came through on all channels. This is Earth's combined fleet. All Council military forces will power down their ships immediately. Resistance is not possible. We control your systems. Comply, and no one needs to die today. In orbit around the Council's capital world, the mighty Council defense fleet hung helpless in space. Their weapons wouldn't fire. Their engines wouldn't move. Earth's ships surrounded them completely. You see, Reed said to the stunned Council members, we were never primitive. We simply let you think we were. While you laughed at us, we studied you. While you mocked us, we prepared. He walked up to Marcus Prime's platform. Your corruption ends today. Earth is taking control, and we will do what you never did. We will rule fairly. The Council chamber, once full of laughter and mockery, was silent except for the sound of Marcus Prime falling to his knees. Outside, Earth's black ships moved into formation around the station. The Council's 10,000 years of corrupt rule had just ended. Humanity, the supposed primitives, had won without firing a single shot. And this was only the beginning. The Great Council Chamber, once a place of power and pride, now served as a court. Hundreds of screens showed evidence of crimes that had stayed hidden for centuries. Ambassador Reed stood at the center, no longer pretending to be weak. Let the galaxy see the truth, he said, his voice carried on all channels across Council space. Show them what their mighty Council really is. The screens flickered, showing dark images. Alien races kept as slaves in secret mines. Whole planets stripped of resources while their people starved. Wars started for profit. Medicines held back from dying children. Marcus Prime, now in restraints, watched in horror as his empire's crimes were laid bare. These are lies, he shouted. No, Reed replied calmly. These are your own records. from your own secure databases, the ones you thought nobody could crack. On Mars, Director Stone watched the broadcast with satisfaction. "Send the next batch," she ordered her team. New images appeared. Council ships attacking helpless colonies, secret weapons tested on innocent people, corrupt deals that had kept worlds in poverty while Council members grew rich. Across the galaxy, people watched in stunned silence. Admiral Walker's fleet still surrounded the Council station. Inside his command ship, he received reports from across Council space. "Sir, the Outer Rim worlds are declaring independence," an officer reported. "The Blue Star systems have already formed a new government. The mining colonies are rising up against their council governors." Walker nodded. "And our forces? In position near all major council military bases. But there's no resistance, sir. Their own soldiers are arresting the corrupt commanders." In the council chamber, Reed walked to each screen, explaining each crime in simple, clear words that everyone could understand. No one laughed at the primitive human now. "For 10,000 years, he said, you ruled through fear and lies. You called Earth primitive because we still fought among ourselves. But at least we fought in the open. We didn't pretend to be civilized while committing genocide for profit." Marcus Prime slumped in his restraints. "You've destroyed everything," he whispered. "No," Reed replied. "We've saved everything. Earth will help build something better." On Earth, the President addressed the United Earth Alliance. "The galaxy now knows the truth. The Council's victims cry out for justice. We will answer that cry." Across Council space, Earth's ships appeared above thousands of worlds. But they didn't come with weapons. They'd brought medicine for the sick, food for the hungry, technology that the Council had kept secret. Director Stone's agents moved openly now, sharing proof of local governors' crimes with their own people. World after world rose up, throwing out corrupt leaders. This was never about revenge, Reed told the watching galaxy. This was about justice. In a secret facility beneath Europa, General White watched the Council's mighty defense network shut down for good. "Report," he ordered. "All Council military bases secure, sir. Their weapons are disabled. Their ships are grounded. Most of their own soldiers have joined us." The general nodded. "And the quantum shield?" "Deployed around all civilian populations, sir. No one can threaten them now." Back in the Council chamber, Reed faced the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds. "Earth doesn't want to rule you," he said. "We want to help you rule yourselves." He touched his communicator. "Show them the plan." New images appeared on the screens. Plans for free elections, fair trade agreements, open sharing of technology, medicine for all, food for all, education for all. "This is what civilization looks like," Reed said. "This is what the Council should have been." Across the galaxy, cheers erupted from countless worlds. The Council's lies had ended. A new age was beginning. And Earth, the planet of primitives, would lead the way. 1 year after Earth's takeover of the Council, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The Great Council Chamber, once a place of corruption and mockery, now hosted representatives from every world, large or small. Ambassador Reed stood at his old spot, but now he smiled genuinely. Around him, aliens from 1,000 worlds discussed trade, shared resources, and worked together to solve problems. Earth's report on the first year of transition, he began, addressing the new Galactic Assembly. Over 500 worlds have held their first free elections. 3,000 corrupt officials have faced justice. And most importantly, no shots were fired. No lives were lost in the change of power. The chamber, once full of sneers and lies, now filled with approving murmurs. On the former Council prison worlds, where political enemies had been kept in secret, hospitals and schools now stood. Earth's advanced medical technology, no longer held back by Council restrictions, saved millions of lives. Admiral Walker's fleet still patrolled space, but their mission had changed. His ships now protected trade routes, stopped pirates, and helped worlds in need. Another refugee ship rescued Admiral, his officer reported. Former slaves from the mining worlds. They're already receiving medical care. Walker nodded, watching the stars through his viewport. A year ago, they called us primitives, he said quietly. Now they call us saviors. In her Mars Command Center, Director Stone reviewed the latest reports. The quantum computing network, once used to crack council codes, now helped predict natural disasters and prevent accidents. Ma'am, one of her analysts called. The last hidden council weapon cache has been found and secured. The galaxy is officially free of planet-killer bombs. Stone allowed herself a rare full smile. Send word to Earth. The President will want to know. On Earth, the President addressed the United Earth Alliance. Behind her, screens showed images from across the galaxy. New schools being built, sick children receiving care, former enemies working together. 1 year ago, she said, the Council laughed at us. They called us primitive because we still had poverty, because we still fought among ourselves. But our struggles taught us compassion. Our fights taught us the value of peace. In his prison cell, Marcus Prime watched the broadcast. The former council leader had aged years and months. We had the power for 10,000 years, he whispered. And we wasted it. The new Galactic Assembly worked differently from the old council. Every world had a voice, no matter its size. Earth's quantum computers ensured no one could cheat or hide corruption. Everything was open. Everything was fair. Trade flowed freely between worlds. Species that had hated each other for centuries now worked together. The galaxy's economy boomed as new markets opened and new technologies spread. Reed walked through the assembly chamber, stopping to talk with representatives from worlds that had once been council victims. My people are healthy for the first time in generations, one told him, eyes shining with gratitude. The medicine you shared. Our children will grow up strong. That's all we ever wanted, Reed replied. A fair chance for everyone. Earth's fleet, once hidden in secret shipyards, now openly patrolled the stars. But their advanced weapons stayed quiet. Their power came from helping, not hurting. The President's voice echoed through the assembly chamber one last time. Let the galaxy remember this lesson. True civilization isn't about power or wealth. It's about how you treat the weakest among you. The Council fell because they forgot this. Earth rose because we remembered. In orbit above Earth, human and alien ships docked peacefully at the new Galactic Trade Center. Children from 100 worlds played together in its zero-gravity parks. Scientists from former enemy species shared discoveries in its laboratories. The galaxy had entered a golden age, and it started because a primitive planet had taught the mighty Council a lesson about true civilization. Earth's revenge was complete, but it wasn't the revenge of destruction. It was the revenge of making things right.